at Walmart in Lampasas
Yeah, sorry.
has the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if I'm ever going to get one, that's the only one that I'll get. So we stopped and got it, and did not have any swelling or anything that night or all day yesterday. And then this morning I woke up and the insides of my elbows were all bumpy red and itchy. And I immediately put lavender oil on it, and it immediately took all the itching away, and you can't even see any redness anymore.
Oh, Diane, you really are an oil lady now because you went to the oils so quick. I love that. I love it. You had one more?
Well, I used the window spray on all my son's windows that we made like a couple weeks ago, of the water and vinegar and lemon in a glass bottle, and cleaned all of his windows with that.
I love it. What a great helper. Oh, Diane, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, anybody else have an oil story they want to share? Yes, Laura.
I do. So,
we're having a hard time hearing you. Doggone it. I think your internet might be
freezing up.
And so I'm having a hard time. Let me see if I can just put on the audio.
Yep, because we can hear
and that
you.
might help. Okay. Okay. So I decided I wanted a mocktail, and I got Greg to put some watermelon in the blender and some lemon balm, because you can, and some mint, and took a little bergamot, put in there with some seltzer water, and it was fabulous. Absolutely.
Wow. Wow, that's going the next level. Ooh. So you need to put that in the chat too, because that sounds pretty fun.
Is bergamot citrusy one, Laura?
Yeah,
is that right?
It is.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I was like,
it's like Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
It's the stuff they use to make Earl Grey tea smell like Earl Grey as opposed to just black tea.
Okay.
I love it.
So I just Fruit Loops.
I love it. Okay. So many fun ideas. Okay, I love all the ideas and all the stories. Thank you so much. It makes my day when we hear these stories of things that have changed your life. All right, I'm going to introduce our wonderful teachers tonight. So Meka, Shamika, and Janey are going to be teaching us tonight. And let me talk about Shamika for a minute first. Shamika has one of the funnest personalities. As you get to know her, you are going to have a real experience with a real person. She actually does a podcast, and it's just called The Ramblings. Is it just The Ramblings by Meka? I don't know. But it's awesome because she just tells it like it is. And she tells things that bother her and things that, you know, are okay with her, or what she thinks of things. And I love that because I need to work on that. I am a people pleaser, and I just appreciate the realness that she puts out there. She's crafty. She is, I like to think of her as the superhero who's making it through so many physical challenges lately. COVID, pneumonia, in the hospital, dealing with so much, and she turns to oils and natural things to help her. And I love that she shares so openly on Facebook. So thank you, Meka, for being here to share with us tonight and being so wonderful. And Janey, her good friend, is also going to be teaching tonight. Now, Janey is a dear friend who actually just makes my day. She lived with me for just a little while with her and her son, and I feel like she's a sister to me. And she is such a joy to be around. She's a great cook. So if you need somebody to come live with you, Janey's the one to do it, because she's a great cook. And I really appreciate her. She has a wonderful son who's 16 and is just a good man and growing up so wonderfully because she's a good mama. And the thing I love about Janey is she knows her oils and she uses her oils. And she also opens her mouth and shares all the time. And for those of us who get knocked around a little, even by people under our own roof about using oils, it is such a joy to help people. And I find myself saying that, and even tonight at the dinner table, saying that and saying, I do it because I love it and I want to change people's lives. And that's what these people are doing. They're changing lives. That's what you're all doing by sharing this. If we can keep doing it, we'll just help those that want to listen to go on a natural journey with us and have answers. So thank you, Janey and Meka, for being here. And I'm going to turn the time over to you to talk to us about emotional literacy. And we need you unmuted.
There we go.
And-
I do that I even do it at work. I start talking and I haven't unmuted myself.
We're good.
So let me see if I can get my screen shared so you can see what I have here.
Yep.
Okay.
got it.
So you got it? Okay. So Meka and I kind of are going to tag team on this. So I know a lot of us use the oils for different reasons. I know that I have some family, like everyone, that struggles with our emotions, and we have a tendency to use the oils a lot around here. So, but to start it off with, I just want to go over really quickly, just a reminder. I wasn't sure how many new people we would have or not, but just talk about how we use the oils, right? As we all know, we can use them 3 different ways in our lives. We can do it through smell, aromatic, either in a diffuser or on a piece of jewelry or putting them in your hands. One of my favorite things to do is to put a drop of wild orange and peppermint, rub it together and inhale it. And it just kind of helps, wake you up. So the other is you can do it on your skin topically, as long as you know that it's one that's not, that's going to be harmful to your skin. So I always say, make sure you're reading those instructions on the label and you know what it is. You can always put it in a carrier oil like coconut oil or grapeseed oil, and you can use that on your skin also. And it's good for like massages or target areas, like Lee was saying, how she used it on her back, right? It's your back, right, Lee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then we can also ingest them. So Laura was telling us how she put it in her drink. I know some people put lemon in their water when they drink it, in a veggie cap, or just under their tongue. I'm a big cobaiba user, and sometimes I don't have my cobaiba pills, but I'll have the cobaiba oil and I just put a couple of drops underneath my tongue when I have like a headache or I'm just hurting, or if I'm feeling anxious, because it's good for, anxiety or that anxious feeling. And so it tastes like I'm chewing on a piece of stick, but that's okay because it does the job, right? So those are just some reminders of ways that we can use them. So I just wanted to touch base on that real quick. So tonight, I just wanted to kind of give us give us all a visual. We've all had these emotions, right? We've all felt defeated and angry and anxious and overwhelmed and just depressed or just crying all the time, right? Or just frustrated, fearful. And the beauty of these oils is that there are so many of them that we can use. And it's not just one oil, right? There's multiple oils that we can use. But tonight, Meka and I are going to talk about some specific oils but don't think, oh, I can only use lemon for this or that. Go and look at your books that you have and do your research, go online, and because there are different oils you have. These are just some things that we have learned and has been shared with us. So I kind of want to start this by talking about Adaptive. Adaptive has been an amazing oil for my family. So when they first introduced Adaptive, I was like, all right, I love this. And I started using it. I have a little bit of anxiety. And I have my own issues that I deal with, my feelings and my emotions. And so I started using it. Well, I shared this with my niece. My oldest niece has recently come out of a very abusive relationship. And she has dealt with a lot of anxiety, talking with other people, and just very depressed. And she had gone to the doctor, and the doctor had put her on medicine. And I said, you know what, but start using this. Take a pill, put it in your diffuser and smell it, and take the bottle with you when you're feeling overwhelmed, because she had to get a job, right? Because she left her husband and she had to start working, and she'd be like, I just get so overwhelmed and I get anxious. I said, just take that adaptive and rub it on when you start feeling that way, and just breathe in. I said, because you're going to make it, right? This is going to help you. Well, she went to her doctor a few months ago, and the doctor told her that he was going to reduce her medicine, because after he was talking to her and everything, he realized that she was doing better. And she's all like, well, how do you know that? And he goes, you're smiling. And then she kind of shared with him how she had been using this adaptive and how it helps her. And so he was all like, as a typical doctor, like, okay, go ahead. Right. But Mindy is very excited about it, because she feels like it really has contributed to her being able to get over, right, or achieve where she wants to be, because she is a great mom and she is showing her kids how to survive after something like that. And during this whole pandemic thing, my house has kind of been the wayward home for everybody. And we've had all the parties here at my house for my little pod. That's what I call them, my quarantine pod. And my niece and her 3 children have been part of that. Well, they've also done school here because she had to work, and I've been working from home. And so all the kids came over here and did school. Well, my youngest great nephew that she has would sit there, and he would sit there and he would pull his hair, because he would get so angry if he like read something wrong or did something wrong, and he would turn red. The back of his neck would turn red. And I mean, he would just like, oh my gosh. And I could walk in there and I could just see him pulling it and just getting mad. And I'm like, okay, come here. And I'd get him the adaptive and I'd rub it on him. And it got to the point to where he would come in my room and he'd be like, Janey, and I'd be like, yes. And he's like, where's the oil? And so I had it on my dresser so he could get to it really easy. And it got to the point to where when he would get anxious and he couldn't function anymore, that he would just get up and come in here and ask for the oil, because he realized that it was helping him, and it was helping him focus on what he needed to and calming him down. And I'm going to say some of that is probably, that expectation of himself, of being in that kind of relationship, and the anger, just wanting to do good. And he would, if he missed something, or if he couldn't understand something, or if he did a math problem wrong, and it's like, it's not that big of a deal, kid. It's okay. You can do it again. But he would just be so angry, and I could hear him slamming his books, right? And I'm kind of like, no, it's not okay. And so this has just been an amazing. I love adaptive. She hasn't wanted to give him the pills yet, because he is a little younger and she's not really sure about that. And so I'm all like, just keep him using the oils, use the adaptive, the blend in the diffuser. And I told her, I'm like, and if you're running out of the touch, you can use that adaptive blend to make a touch for yourself or for him. I really do like adaptive. I don't know if any of y'all have used adaptive and want to share any experiences that y'all have had with that. Has anyone used it?
I use the oil and the touch all the time. I have not tried the supplement.
I use the supplement. I take one every night before bed. It helps me to sleep better. And then it just kind of, it carries over to the next day too.
Wow.
Keeps me good and calm.
Great.
And
So
Talita put in the chat that it really helps her with forgiveness. I thought that was interesting.
well, then I need to go swallow the whole bottle. I'm just going to say, I'm adding that one. I'm going to make a note and add that to that, because I'm going to work on that, because I am, we all have things, right? And I'm struggling a little bit with forgiveness. So
that was something interesting that you had mentioned, and how to cope with things. And that's coping things. Sometimes that anger and that frustration is attached with blame, shame, and adequacy. And I found that using the adaptive, so Charlene had given me one of the rollers, and I started smelling it. And I'm like, oh, I really like this. I really haven't seen what the ingredients are, but I had combined it with 2 other oils. And as I speak ever so randomly about certain things, Shalene always tells me, oh, there's an oil for that. There's an oil for that. So I combined it with the Align and Arise and Adaptive in the morning. For some reason, it makes me feel very grounded. So yes, I totally believe in that one. So that's my go-to with combinations of other oils. And it has really, even my therapist today says, wow, you're speaking slower. You are less intense. And I was like, "Oh, it's the oils, but I'm not going to tell you yet." So it has really been beneficial for me.
Awesome, Talita.
That is awesome. So, Jolene.
So adaptive is like, for me and a ton of people over here, that is like, we won't let our house go without it. And if one of us are running low, we go to the other person's house to get more. So we could tell you a whole evening about why adaptive and a ton of different stories. But it's with the one that I tell when it first very came out is I bought 2 of them while I was at convention, and I was on my way home knowing who I wanted to give them to. And I stopped by my daughter's house, and when I was showing her and telling her about it, she grabbed it from me and says, I'm keeping these. And I'm going, didn't plan on this one for you. But of course I let her have it. And about 2 weeks later, she lost a second baby to a stillbirth. And as I talked to her afterwards, she says, if I had not had that and been taking it, I could not have made it through this one. And then I went home and gave it to the daughter that I was thinking of. And a little while later, just a few weeks later, she gave a presentation on the adaptive oil. And she talked about some emotional scars that she had living in Houston here, and that taking this adaptive, it was helping her deal with that and being able to move on. Those are just a couple of the stories of like so much with the adaptive. And like, I don't have anxiety. I'm not really that, that's not been a challenge of mine. But the last couple months that I was working, I would get stressed in the middle of the day there, being a long day and just a lot going on. And so I learned to take a couple adaptive just before I'd go to work, knowing if it was going to be a high stress day. And I could make it through the day. And at the end of it, after that long shift, I could go, I didn't have any of those feelings every time. So if you want more stories, let me know.
That's great. And I think that's kind of what we all learn about the oils as we use them, right? Sometimes we don't even realize what it's affecting or how it's healing us or supporting us, I guess is a better word to say. Because I know for myself, I know I've been trying to do some work on myself. And so now that you're saying that, Jolene, I'm kind of like, I wonder if that, and I'm sure it has helped in my process of what I've been going through, right? Not realizing that I've been doing something. I'm taking these other things that I'm using, but that could have just been part of it too. So thanks for sharing that. That's good to know. I'm going to add that to my little encyclopedia of knowledge to remember that for future reference. So now we're going to kind of tag team this here. So it is your game, Meka.
Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, grand. So I love this technique, and it has helped me considerably. And I waited to say my adaptive story is I have, for me, there's a lot of things that give me anxiety. And lately, I think it's just, COVID and all the things that have happened up until this point. Like, I'm still tied to oxygen right now. I can't use it because there's a tickle in my nose and I can't figure it out. And I just sneeze every time I put it on. But I use adaptive every morning because I would wake up with like increased heart palpitations and just like heart's ready to fly out of the chest. And so I had adapted, but I never used it because, I got it one of those BOGO things, and I was like, well, let me try it. And so I've been trying it, and I don't wake up with those palpitations anymore. And I'm not gonna lie, I just put it on when I saw that it was my slide up next, because I'm like, I'm like, oh man, teaching is not my strong suit. Like, I'm not comfortable in this arena at all. So, but that's my story about adaptive. But as we see, as a simple 3-step technique, which is like the easiest thing to do. And I find that I can do this anywhere and be, nobody has to know what I'm doing. If I'm in a group of people, they don't have to know. It looks like I'm just in a moment of rest. And what you do, oh, sorry, I'm gonna tell you, I did not read all this, I'm sorry. But I will just skip with I don't know if anybody here doesn't know about the EO technique from Dr. D that he's just shared with us in how we can better understand those oils, like the fear, and like to be able to use oils to focus on specific things. And what I also love is that you can combine it with other oils, like you can layer and get a little bit more out of the situation, whatever. Like for me, I love putting oils directly on my skin for the most part, whichever ones are not hot, because being diabetic, my skin is thicker, so things do not penetrate very well for me with coconut oil. If it's diluted with coconut oil, I cannot, like, I don't feel the same effect. I'm sure it is doing the same thing, but I don't feel it as prominently for myself unless I have the oil directly, or you know, if like in my CPAP, I use adaptive to help with my world. So like, unless it's something that is going directly in via, my mouth or my nose, or, swallowing. And so my favorite of this set, because I've tried a few of them, but my favorite is the oils that pertain with the arbovitae. I don't know how to say that. I've never heard.
Arborvitae.
All
Arborvitae.
right. All right. So I love that one, because a lot of times that is like one of my roommates when I moved here first, like almost 2 years ago, that I have a great deal of distrust, a great deal. Like, many people have been in my life and they've done things to make me not trust people, even when people say they're going to do good things. Like when my roommates want to do something in service of me, I don't believe they're really going to do it until they do it. And it's not fair to them. And so I have been trying to, not hold them accountable or anybody else accountable for what other people have done. So that has helped me with that, as well as, being too sensitive is another. Like, something can be just as simple as 2 words and I am ready to be upset about it. And so that oil has done me a great deal of good, and I love it. And oh, I just noticed this one with rosemary. That's going to be a thing. But yeah, so I love the different types. And ylang ylang is another good one that I do, because depression sucks, and especially right now when I can't be 100% in anything I do, even though I try really, really hard, and my roommates yell at me, but I feel that I need to do more than I am. And sometimes, I have to be reminded that we can bring you something from downstairs, so you don't have to continuously climb the stairs. I have to, I feel like it's a nuisance and I'm a bother. And so that one as well is help shaping me through some of the many things that are going on currently in my own head. Yeah. I don't know, Janey, you want me to, anybody have a
Can you
question?
just show real quick where to put the oils and what you do with it?
Oh. All right, so, oh, Jane is too fast. Okay, so basically you take this is adaptive, and you put it on your wrist, you rub them together, as you can see, and then I just sit here like this and take a long, deep breath. Oh gosh, that is so nice. I'll just tell you. But you do that, take those real great deep inward breaths, which sometimes are hard for me as well. But like, if I have to sit here for 15 minutes in my workday just to sit there and do that so I can finish the rest of my day, that is what I do. I've also done it 2 or 3 times a day. And then instead of doing it at night now, I just have been putting it in my CPAP so I can just breathe it in. And, and I notice that helps when I wake up. I'm not waking up with so much anxiety in the beginning of my day. So it has been wonderful to get up and not have to, panic for whatever reason, because, anxiety has no, it can be over the simplest things. So anxiety is anxiety. So, but yeah, so I have done that to help. And so, and here it says why the wrist, it's quick and easy. And it absolutely is quick and easy. And it stimulates that pulse point, which I love. Well, I learned about pulse points when I was younger from my dad, but that was for protective purposes. He taught us how to hit pressure points to save ourselves, which thankfully I've never had to use. But it is just an easy, simple, and I love that. Oh, you know what? I have felt a lot of that blood flow closer, because I also have fibromyalgia and I have neuropathy, but my hands, I just realized, have received like I'm not as tingly in my hands, which is interesting, and I love it. Just reading that has helped shape a lot of things in my day. And I do love the avoiding fingers because I am the queen of putting oils on and rubbing my eyes. And let me tell you, deep blue is not fun in your eye, especially when you could remember how to ease the pressure and you go do something silly like water. Yeah, Janey was there for that joyful event. I told her my eyes were falling out. She's like, "You're being dramatic." I'm like, "I know, but this hurts." So anything I can do to not put the oils on my hands is great for me in general, to protect the rest of me from myself. Any questions, comments, concerns?
So good.
So thanks, Meka.
You're
So
welcome.
so not only can we use them to help us to process those negative emotions, but we also can use them to help again that intentional emotional goal, right? I mean, when we have those times when we're down or we're feeling low or whatever, we want to get to that other end. We want to be ourselves. We want to have that peace. We want to have the focus. We want to have the hope. We want to feel loved. And I don't mean love for someone else, but I'm talking about self-love, right? We all deserve to feel that good inner warmth about ourselves. And so there are oils for that too. Meka, did you want to talk about this one? Did I lose her? Is she there? Oh, I think I lost her, but that's okay.
Nope.
Nope, there you are. Okay.
I was muted. There I was like, yeah, sure, I can do it. And I realized I'm like, they can't hear me. So let me see here. Well, lavender is a great step. I won't go through all of them, but I will tell you, like, lavender has been one that I've always used in my CPAP just because I struggle with sleep. Been a lifelong insomniac, even as an infant. And so allowing my brain to slow down enough to go to sleep is the hardest thing for me. But, I put that in there and like I'll start reading a book, waiting for the lavender to soothe me down. And sure enough, all of a sudden I will wake up and I still have the tablet in my hand and I, have lulled myself to sleep. So that one has been a great deal of help. And oh, lime. I need to do more lime in my life. But I do use marjoram. I think I've used marjoram just because my Itovi says so. And so I, didn't really look at why, because I'm moving my oil stuff around, so I really don't know where the book is. But I have been using marjoram. Marjoram was one of those ones that just kept popping up. And as I see here, again, there's that word trust for me. So that has been clearly helpful. Now the helichrysum, that is a new one for me, and I just started using that. Like a deep emotional pain, boy, I need to drink that whole bottle too. But like I've been using a lot of that as well for pain, but knowing that it helps for emotional pain. Is there any one of these that that stands out greatly for wild orange and posits? I am like a dog squirrel. I am so much like that, but wild orange I just love in general. Like I will always, like, I have wild orange. It always seems I find wild orange and I can't find the peppermint, or I can find the peppermint and I can't find the wild orange. So I'm like, I'll diffuse peppermint or whichever one I have and let that be a part of my life. But I have done more with oils in shaping who I am becoming. Like we all have that eternal progression, but I am trying to fix. And I will say a lot of these has helped me as well. Motivate is one of my favorites, because I started Pathway over 8 weeks ago, and every week I said I was going to quit. Every week. And then one day my therapist was like, you say you don't want to go to these gatherings every week, but guess what? Every time you do, you love it. And I'm like, you are right, I do, because I never thought I would bond with people virtually at all, but we are a loving group. But I do think I use cypress a lot, cypress, lavender, like I use a lot of these, and I believe, and seeing it here, I realized that a lot of that is thankful to all the oils that I use that I stayed. And I am 4 weeks left until the first semester is over, and
Yay.
I am like overjoyed. And I'm like, looking back, I'm like, man, whew, if it wasn't for these oils, I'm pretty confident I would have quit a long time ago. But that is the joy I have found with using a lot of oils, especially in layering, when because for me, sometimes some oil, like any kind of medication, some things work for someone and they don't necessarily work for me. And usually most things that work for everybody else doesn't work for me. So, finding these combinations to where I can use the oils that are best, but I don't feel like it does it on its own. I can, again, layer and, get as much of the good feeling, good vibe, good emotional thought process as I continue throughout my day.
Love it.
So thanks, Meka. So one of the ones that I use a lot of is grapefruit. So, I've always, I'm not good enough. I believe me, if someone could I'm queen of self-sabotaging. And, I do the things that have happened in my life. I didn't take care of my body. And so now here I am, right? Trying to take care of my body and make myself not just physically healthier, but mentally healthier. And grapefruit has done wonders for me. So Shalene shared this one with me, and I tell everybody about this. So I have a spray bottle and I fill it up with about half a bottle of grapefruit oil, and I put water in the rest of it. And when I get out of the shower, I just spray my body with it. And at first I was just kind of like, okay, Shalene, it'll work. Okay. So I was just like, okay. I mean, I read it, right? But I'm kind of like, yeah, okay. But I'm going to say that I think it's an amazing oil. And it's one of those things where it's over a period of time, you realize that you're doing things because you truly believe that you deserve that, or you feel like you want that. And I feel for myself, it's still a progress, work in progress, but I really do think that we are so blessed to be able to have these oils and to share these oils with people. And I I just feel very thankful that I have them and I can use them, because I can say that they honestly have made a huge difference for me in my life. And grapefruit is one of my favorite loves. Dr. D, the one who gave us this technique, I did go and see him, and he even talked about this during the retreat earlier this year about green mandarin. And he was very funny, because as he's going over his little, thing with me, he looks at me and he says, "And you're a perfectionist, aren't you?" And I kind of laughed, and I was all like, "No, kind of, but not really." Right. And so, so he told me, he says, "You need to use green mandarin." And so we kind of talked a little bit about it, and I didn't like what he said, but I mean, I'm not going to say he was wrong, but green mandarin is one that I have. And it was interesting to me because as we talked about, as we went through his evaluation, he also suggested frankincense. Frankincense is good for feeling abandonment. I know that there was one on the other one too. And I thought that was really interesting. So I just want to clarify that I don't feel abandoned by my parents at all. I love my parents very dearly, but there was other things in my life that caused me to kind of feel abandoned. Right. And so I have been using frankincense on that, and we're just so blessed. And this shielding technique that we have here, that is listed here on the bottom, about using the clove and the melaleuca and just doing it on our navel and our solar plexus, which is, in the middle of our chest. I worked with someone who, when we were in the office, she's very toxic, and it was so hard for me to work with her. And it was very challenging because she at various times had made comments to me about having a biracial child, and just very inappropriate comments. And it was kind of a weird relationship because she was a manager. And so I kind of felt like, how do I do this? Right. Because we always feel like a manager has a little over us. Right. So I protected myself, and I used the shielding technique quite often. And it finally got to the point to where I felt like I had control. And I did do something about it, but it took me a while to get there. But the simple fact that I had this shielding technique where I could protect myself and protect my own well-being, so that way I could find myself, find my feeding where I could protect myself. And it's amazing. I just keep saying that, but it's amazing that these natural oils can empower us this way, so that we can do this. And I love the fact that we can share that with people. But this presentation, or these things that I have on the PowerPoint here, they are on Dr. D's EO Technique Facebook page. So if you want them, you can go there, or I have a copy of it too that I can send, or we can post it somewhere. But using those oils, it's the same technique, on your hands and on your forehead. Did we lose Meka? Oh, no, she's still there.
Can I say something real quick?
Please.
Go back to that last slide for just a second.
This one?
Yes, I think
Okay.
it's really important to focus on when you're breathing in the oil deeply through your nose. You want to focus on the negative, either the negative emotion that you're trying to rid yourself of, or the positive emotion that you're trying to gain. So,
Yes.
and
Thank
you'll
you.
know how long you need to leave your hands up there on your head as you think about those emotions and try to clarify where you want to be. Then the oil will help you to clarify, and you'll know when to stop. So, but it's really important to focus on those emotions, not just to put the oil up there and think the oil's going to do everything for you. You've got to give it some help.
Yep.
You have to process it, right? You have to allow yourself to feel
Exactly.
that feeling and that breathing in and out. Thanks, Lee, for bringing that to the attention. So that breathing in and out is what allows us to breathe it in and release it. So exactly. Thanks. That was great. So when we talked about the adaptive, doTERRA and all their infinite wisdom created this little mind and mood kit. And so one of the oils that's in there is balance. And I love balance. Before any of these other things out, balance was my friend, and I carried it around and I sniffed it all the time. So people at my desk would walk by in the office and they'd be like, "Oh, you have that oil, don't you?" Because they could, I had a little mini diffuser on my desk and I would diffuse it because they drive me crazy. And so, I'm a balance user. I shove balance at everybody. So to me, adaptive is kind of the big guns, right? Balance is kind of low here, but I think it still works just as well. And I diffuse that a lot. I will say that there's been a few times where with all the kids around, it's kind of gotten a little crazy. So there's a couple of oils that I will put in my diffuser to do its little magic when I have them all here. And I know earlier Meka mentioned the Motivate oil. So I use that too. Some days I have a hard time just, concentrating, and I'm not feeling like I want to do my job or whatever. And that Motivate is amazing. And the other one I want to talk about, and then I'd like other people to share anything that they've done it, is Console. So I had a friend lose her son a year ago, and I was with her, and she was really, really struggling. And I had Console and I had Peace on me. And I gave her both of those oils. And I just told her, I said, every day I want you to use these. And I told her where to rub them, how to rub them, kind of what she needed to do, like the breathing and all that kind of stuff. And it's been a year now. And I was talking to her. I spent the year anniversary with her. We spent a few days together just so I could be there with her. And she, she's like, "I don't want to buy them, Janey. I don't want anything to do with that." She says, "But they helped." So she says, "I know they helped me." And so, I just keep telling her just to keep using them or whatever. Her daughter was really impressed with them. And so her daughter and I have been talking about it. And I've given her some when I've gone to visit to use on the kids because they had scratches and stuff, and we used the different stuff that I had. So I think eventually I'll get the daughter to, come on board, but it just takes a while sometimes. But she's very old school, but I've watched her and she's still struggling, but I have watched her and I see the change in her over this last year. And so they're very helpful. And I think sometimes we don't realize just extending that to them, the things that it can offer. So are there any questions, anything anyone want to share or talk about? Did we lose Meka? Meka, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think I do right now.
Thank you
No.
for all these wonderful ideas, you guys. What you've done is help us realize the help that we can get, but we have to be willing to go after it.
Right.
So we just have to be willing to do it and use the oils consistently, and we can be very, very blessed. Thank you. Janey?
Shailene?
Yeah.
This is Dale. I've been sharing some things with you quietly to one side.
Yep.
Got some catching up to do because I haven't seen you for a while. But one thing that happened recently for me is a friend of mine had a bilateral mastectomy. Anyway, I don't understand all the technical things, but I do know that she's going through her second chemo, and she's sharing all of this on Caring Bridge with us. So we're kind of going through it with her. And one quote unquote discovery for me recently has been hope. I've used peace for a long time, and serenity and lavender and all these different things I use every day. But I found hope, and I was just I was putting it on one morning and I went, no, Susan needs this. So I immediately ordered some more, and we were gathering hats for her and sending them, going to take them by to her. And so inside her hat was a card with hope inside of it. And she thanked me for that. And, it just, I love using all the little, I call them pulse points. Y'all call them something else. But anyway, when you get to be my age, you can call them what you want, but that's okay. Anyway, the that Serenity has been one that I've worn a lot. It's kind of like my perfume. That's my thing. I don't know how many times I've come into a room and people have commented, "What is that?" And whenever I go to the chiropractor, it's, "You have Serenity on today, don't you?" And they just know. But I carry a little bottle with me and I share it. And they're like, I walked into a meeting one time and I'm telling you, the air was just dark. And I went, wait a minute, this is no place for us to try to discuss everything. So I went around and shared Serenity with everybody.
Good
The
for
next thing you
you.
knew, boom, so it does work and make a difference. And frankincense is such an excellent detox for my feet. And I have issues with leg cramps and different things that are going on right now because I have a pinching going on, but we're working on it. It's not, I don't have to operate for it, but I'm getting some numbness and other things that are going on. And so as I've been going through that, back to with my lemongrass and with the deep blue, and I found one of my little hematite bracelets I'd forgotten I had, and I put that on, and that helps. And moving around more, but just getting, doing the motion, but getting these oils. I've moved my lemongrass and coconut that I put in the small of my back. I've now added it to my shoulder area because I have some cervical spine issues, and so that where this is pressing, that's causing this problem. And so be working through Laura Lee and through Elizabeth with their with the head trauma and the things that are going on from them,
Yeah.
that kind of thing has really been a help, because even though I haven't specifically had that kind of thing, although I probably have through the years and have forgotten it, but anyway, I mean, I had a car wreck one time, and you never know what really hits when you
Right.
roll over in a car. So I'm just so grateful that doTERRA is so um so just true with this. They're just wanting so much. There's so much positivity with them.
Yeah.
And I've had people say, "Oh yes, well this is my lavender," and I've smelled it and it's like smelling dirt.
Yeah.
They're just, it's so different, and it there's no relaxation to it or anything. And I wear a lot of oil, but I've learned to tone myself down so that I don't like knock people off the face of the earth walking
Yep.
by them or something. But each one of them has something that it's assisting me with, and that's the thing that's so awesome. And you don't have to worry about, oh, I have to do this one now and now, and your body lets you know when
Yep.
you need it,
It
and
does.
it lets you know when you have enough. And it's just it's amazing.
It is amazing. And doTERRA has given us pure product that we can feel very comfortable using, and of course sharing. So thank you for all those oil stories. Oh my goodness, so many things we can try. And we need to end up so we can be on time. We've got a little business meeting for those who would like to stay. You're always welcome to stay for the business meeting, and Lee will lead us tonight in that. And then we've got next week is our one class we don't do on Zoom. So those of you who want to come to my house, I think people are feeling more comfortable now without masks. And it's summertime, it's still light outside. So drop in, because the make and take will be sharing with you my favorite samples to make to share with other people. And I'll have you make a few samples and drams that you can give to other people. And we'll just have a good time and drop in anytime between 7 and 8. It doesn't have to be from 7 to 8. Just drop in for a few minutes and we'll make some samples on Tuesday night next week. And then we'll see you in 2 weeks. And tomorrow's going to do a class on meditation for us. So we'll look forward to that in 2 weeks on Zoom. So love you all. For those who want to leave, feel free. And those who want to stay for the business meeting, we'll do that. Thanks for coming tonight, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Love ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Awesome. All right. Janey, that was so good. I need to have you teach more often, because you are just a great teacher.
Oh, you're
Really
so
are.
sweet.
It just comes out naturally. Just
So
really
sweet.
naturally. So
I feel like I babble, but
Nope.
so thank you.
That was very, very well done. All right, Lee, you're muted. We need you.
I was saying I taught with Janey and she was wonderful when we taught together. It was a great experience. I'm going to share my